Hey there, YouTube. I'm Jack, and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Hope everybody had a nice, lovely, relaxing weekend out there. Our cool weather returned, and I tell you what, I have slept so good the last couple of nights. Woke up to the mid 30s this morning. Actually, woke up to the mid 30s yesterday morning, and it just feels really good. I don't know what it is. I kind of go into a hibernation mode when the cool weather settles in. I mean, it's literally like that overnight. Last week I was not sleeping as many hours, and now I'm back to being a bear. But anyhow, today I wanted to talk about how to get started on a raw vegan diet. So many people, this is probably that time of the year where people just kind of like give it up for the rest of the year, and they're like, well, I'm just going to eat whatever, and we're going to do it in January. How long do people tell themselves that same old, same old? I mean, after you've been walking on this planet for, say, 30 something years, don't you kind of start realizing like that's just something you tell yourself every year? And it's kind of one of those cliches to wait and do something at the beginning of the year. Hell, you could start a raw vegan diet now. You could start anything you want to do now. You don't need that date on the calendar to do it. And you don't need the various programs and coaching that they are out creating for you right now. Yep. I tell you every year, I warn people every year. Right now, there's a lot of those hardcore raw vegans that are sitting at their little computers and they're creating programs for the new year. And they're going to sell you something to get you started off on the right track after the beginner. You don't need any of that stuff. I mean, all the information is out there on YouTube, and you can follow people on Instagram. Get yourself a couple of. Here's a novel idea. Actually, get some books from some people that sort of know a little bit about nutrition, and that'll go a long way. But no reason you can't get started right now, and then you'll be a little bit ahead of things when the new year starts, and you won't go through the holidays with all that guilt, all that just feeling like, okay, I ate this, I ate that. But anyhow, and also too, I've talked about this subject many times in the past, but I just kind of wanted to do an evergreen video that I can have to reference people to, just some general thoughts on getting started. One that I always mention every time, I won't go into much detail here, is just cleaning up your environment, getting rid of the bad stuff in your kitchen, and having a lot of buying a lot of good stuff and keeping a lot of good stuff on hand. Once again, as I always mention, this may look different for different people. Maybe you're sharing your accommodations, your home, your kitchen, whatever, with people that don't eat like this, that don't have any interest in eating like this. So you just kind of have to do the best you can. Now, if you're in an ideal situation where your eating space or your living space is your own, just get rid of all the bad stuff and keep good stuff there. Yes, you might, especially in the beginning, you might go out, you might get a craving or something, and then you'll go out to the store and get it. But at least you have to put a little effort in to go and get whatever it is you're trying not to eat, or whatever it is that's not that healthy for you to eat. It's not just right there in your pantry or right there in your refrigerator. So try to clean up your environment as you're learning more about this lifestyle and how far you want to go into it. If you're going to be fully raw, I'm not here to harp to tell you you need to be fully raw. I just like to give options. I like to share things I've done and let you decide what you will. But you'll see as you go. Fruit. You can never have too many bananas around the house. Always keeping ripe bananas around the house. Depending on what season it is, try to eat as seasonal as possible. And when I say stuff like that, people get a little too obsessive with that, like eating locally, or this isn't organic, or where is this coming from. I would prefer to eat 100% organic, local all the time. But we live in the situations we live in. So the number one thing I'd say about anything that I talk about on any of my videos here is do the best you can within your circumstances and the area where you live and what you have available to you. And don't obsess, don't focus, don't be all sad about seeing what other people get over here and you can't get that. That has nothing to do with you. You need to focus on what's in front of you. And taking that a step further, I always say, instead of just generally watching general people on YouTube, it would really help you a lot to find somebody that creates content on this lifestyle that lives in a similar situation or a similar climate as you. Like, if you're living out in, let's say, just you're living out in the Midwest of the states, you live in Minnesota, you live in Minneapolis, you live in Kansas or Missouri, and it gets winter out there. I don't know how much, I used to live in the tropics. I was living in Costa Rica. But when what are you really getting out of it when you're watching people that are living in the tropics, other than something to dream about? Maybe you want to aspire to get down there, but their reality is so much different. And it's always like the sad people that make the comments, and it kind of is a bummer, and you're just like, well, I don't know what to say to this, when people will be like, oh, I feel so, I don't get any of that in my area. You're showing some fruit, you're having fun, you're eating a papaya, you're eating some, oh, I don't get any of those in my area. I don't get anything of anything. I've had people like that basically they've decided they're going to do a raw vegan diet. They're going to do a fully raw vegan diet. Hell, they're going to be a fruitarian, and they're in an area where they don't get anything. So you have two choices there. They're not, it just is what it is. Either you decide, okay, I'm going to make a plan, and I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to leave this area, and I'm going to go somewhere that has more availability. Or more likely, you're going to drill down and you're going to say, all right, how do I make this? How do I adapt? How do I make this work here? And like I say, even if you are aspiring to a fully raw diet, and I'm sure somebody's going to step in and say it can be done anywhere, but there are certain areas where if you're going to try to do a fully raw diet all the time in a hostile climate, you're basically going to be devoting all your time to it. You're constantly going to be shopping for this and that. You're always going to be it's just like some areas are way more conducive to this lifestyle than others. So always just don't beat yourself up for things that you can't control. Do the best you can. One of the biggest things is just like anything we do in life, if we step back from it a little bit and don't think of the whole task, like the whole, like if I'm going to run a marathon, I'm going to run 26 miles. You run a mile at a time. You take one step at a time. Well, that's the same on this diet, on this lifestyle. You put one thing together at a time. That's why I'm just always trying to think of a different way where it might work. All of our brains work a little differently, and we all have different habits and different ways we do things and different ways we understand things. So that's why I'm always trying to offer a different option. If you can find yourself, like if you can put the fundamentals together, like figure out what is on a raw food diet, on a raw vegan diet, and if you're completely new, you might have to watch a little while, figure it out a little while, but what is your favorite go-to breakfast on a raw vegan diet? What is your favorite go-to middle of the day? What is your favorite, dinner, third meal of the day? And you start figuring these things out, and you just put them all together. For breakfast, I've got any number of breakfasts that I can have on a given day. I mean, there's fruit, just cutting up fruit, a fruit bowl, bananas and papaya, bananas and mango. I usually have my bananas and mango together, papaya, bananas and strawberry. And you just fit, or I've got ice cream. For beginners, I totally recommend eating ice cream for breakfast. Freeze yourself 7 or 8. In fact, that's probably a lot for a beginner to this lifestyle. Freeze yourself 4, 5, 6 bananas. Make a little ice cream with it. Maybe put yourself a little bit of cacao in there. Maybe cut up some strawberries in there. Make yourself a little ice cream, because that's going to blow your mind. Who grew up eating ice cream for breakfast? Nobody eats ice cream for breakfast, and that's not a healthy practice, but on here you can. For me, just kind of as an example, my 3 go-tos are, like I say, a fruit meal, a green smoothie, and a salad. Just had my green smoothie. Why do I like these big green smoothies? Why do I like these big salads? Because you can pack a lot of food in there, which is another point that I want to make here. You have to be eating. So many people that are new to this lifestyle will write to me, or they will make a comment on something, and they're like, oh, I ate this, and this for breakfast, and then I ate this, and this for lunch. And I'm like, well, you're never going to make it, because you're not eating enough food. Go back and watch that last video I did, what I ate today. Look at that salad that I had in there. That was absolutely massive, massive. And that salad took me about an hour and 15 minutes or so to eat. Just finished a green smoothie, which is another one of my staples. Green smoothie for breakfast this morning because I didn't have any frozen bananas. I kind of am a little bit short on ripe bananas right now, so I did have enough bananas for a smoothie. I put about 7 or 8 bananas in my blender. Blended that with a ton of kale. I put hemp seeds in there. I put a little blackstrap molasses in there for its calcium and iron. And I put some lentil sprouts in there. Now that smoothie right there was probably 1,000 calories, at least 1,000 calories. When you're eating like that, that sticks to you. That, like, when people are talking about like, oh well, I tried this lifestyle and I was always hungry, or I never was satisfied, you're not eating enough. You have to eat, you have to get enough calories, number one, just to give you the energy you need to do things, but you also have to consume enough calories for your body size and your activity to get the nutrition you need, to get the protein, the carbs, the right amount of fat, to get the vitamins and minerals that we need. We need to eat a lot of food. You do not need to restrict on this lifestyle, and that's why it doesn't last for many people, is because most people restrict themselves and do all this fasting and whatever. That's not my thing. People, I'm just going to say, I don't get into that. I'm not trying to throw shade on it or whatever, but if you're interested, or you want to do the food vacation, the solid food vacation, or if you're more like, well, I need to do a feast or a fast, well, then you got to find somebody else, because I'm about eating on this lifestyle. I'm not about the restriction, or I'm not about those little kind of gimmicky things, because people that do that approach, they seem to always be flip-flopping back and forth between doing a cleanse, then like going off the rails and not eating very well, and it's all because they never learned how to eat in the first place. And also, when you're getting started on this lifestyle, educate yourself a little bit beyond things like this on YouTube, because anybody can make a video on YouTube. I'll finish up with my 2 favorite recommendations: How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger and Fiber Fueled by Dr. Will Bulsiewicz. Both of those books, even though Fiber Fueled is on gut health, which is a little bit more advanced subject than just getting started on this lifestyle, those 2 books are like the nutritional base that I like to always refer back to. I like to know, I know that if my gut biome, my gut health is working well, my immune system is going to be strong. And hey, like I say, all of this, I'm no expert. Hell, the wheels could come off of this tomorrow. So, but I've been feeling good. I've been doing well for the last 10 years after being a drunk for 30 years and eating. Like, that's one last thing, and I'm going to finish here. Sometimes, too, people will stumble into a video of you doing a raw vegan diet, and they just assume like you grew up eating fruits and berries your whole life. I've been on both sides. I've eaten, the standard American diet. I've eaten the very bad version. I used to eat lots of processed meats. I used to eat lots of barbecue type stuff. So, all I know is, and all I'm ever going to say is like, I feel so much better than I did 10, 15 years ago living that lifestyle. And that's just it's not even really a recommendation. Like I say, this channel is always just kind of me sharing what this lifestyle has done for me. And you got to figure out those kind of things on your own. I mean, I don't like to try to preach to people, but anyhow, starting to ramble a little bit on the Monday. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up and have a beautiful week. Peace.